Alright, in this video, we'll be creating a website from scratch. And you don't even need to know code to do this. We will be writing some code, and you'll actually be able to publish it online. But it's not really important that you understand all the ins and outs of the code that we're writing at this point. The main purpose of this video is for you to follow along and just mimic what I'm doing. So follow the steps. We'll be repeating these same steps over and over again. The purpose of it is just to create these connections in your brain. So as I'm going, don't worry too much about if you're understanding everything that's happening. Just repeat after me, and the more we do this, the more we practice, the more this stuff will make sense. So the first thing we need to do when we're creating a website is create a folder. So if I right-click on my desktop here, go to New Folder, I'm going to call this My Website. So cool, I have a folder. The next thing we need to do, if I look in that folder, there's nothing in there. I need to put some code in there. In particular, I need to write some HTML to exist within my folder. We'll talk more about HTML later and what it all means. But for now, we just need to create some HTML. So for that, I need a code editor. Yeah, sure, I could write HTML in just a normal text edit app, but it's much nicer if you do it with a code editor. The one I would recommend you use is Visual Studio Code. So I'm just going to Google that. Whoop, spelled it wrong, but it doesn't matter. Google knows. Go to Visual Studio Code's website and download that. I've already got it on my computer, but once you have it downloaded, you'll have a nice code editor that's free and very powerful. We'll just be using the basics of that today. And the first thing we need to do once you've got your code editor downloaded is to open up your folder in the code editor. Now there are two ways to do this. I can open up VS Code right here. And let's close that out, and then I go to File, Open, and then select my website folder on my desktop, and then open that. Now there is nothing in that folder, so you won't see anything in the list here, but you will see my website, and you'll see the new file, new folder, all that kind of stuff buttons. The other way I can do that is if I drag my folder here down into my dock, and then drag it right on top of the VS Code icon. That will also open the folder. Now it is important to open the entire folder. Eventually there will be a lot of files in this folder for our website. There'll be images, there'll be HTML files, there'll be CSS files, and we need to have those all open at once in our editor. All right, so once I've got my folder open, and your editor likely looks different than mine. It probably doesn't have a dark theme. The fonts aren't as big. I'm just blowing that up for the video. But it doesn't matter. This same new file button should be there. Click that, and then we're going to type in index.html. Now there are two important parts of this file. The first important part is the name index. We give it that name because this is going to be the home page. When you pull up a website in your browser, www.something.com, that looks for the index.html file as the first page to show you. So that's why we called it index. Whoops. And the second part that's important is the .html. This tells your computer and any other computer that you send it to that this is a HTML file and that I can open this file in my browser. So it's important that you type in .html, and then boom, we've got our first website file. Now, what's the first thing we type in here? Well, this is where we write some HTML code. You can Google HTML on the internet and find tons of resources on this. It actually can be quite overwhelming. But it's a relatively simple thing. It looks like this. It has tags, which are what these things are in between these little carrots. And then it's got tags with inside tags, and it's got just all kinds of tags. And there are infinite amounts of resources on the internet about HTML. But again, we're not really concerned with what everything means at this point. Right now, we're just going to try to establish some of these patterns in our brain. So kind of like when you're learning a foreign language. If you immerse yourself in that language, you're not going to ever understand everything at first, but eventually you'll start picking things up, and then eventually you'll become fluent. So very much like music or a foreign language, code is similar. You need to immerse yourself in the medium before you fully understand it. So that's what we're going to be doing. And the first tag we're going to do is HTML here. And then it has a closing tag with the same name. So inside of these little carrots, opening caret, closing caret, is the name of the tag, HTML. And then most HTML tags will have a closing tag, which looks just like the opening tag except for it has this / in front of the name. And what's the point of having an open and close tag? Well, the point is to put stuff inside of it. So you can think of these as like hamburger buns that we're going to put our meat and our lettuce and our tomato in. And we're also going to try to not get too hungry while we're typing. But the first tag I'm going to put in here is the head tag. And then inside of the head tag, I'm going to put title. And I'll just say welcome, or no, I'll just say my website as the title of the page. Now, what is the title of the page? You might think that that's what shows up in a headline or something when you pull this up in the browser. But in fact, this whole entire head section is just for the browser or for search engines. So the title would be what would show up if I Googled for something on this page and it showed up in a Google search result, or if I posted a link to this page on a social network of some sort, like Twitter or Facebook, the title would be what is shown in the newsfeed in most cases. So I'm going to save this, and I'm not going to go to File, Save, because that is a waste of time. We don't want to use our mouse. Let's just hit Command S and save it. So Command S, boom, saved. There's no little dot here anymore. And let's open up our website in our browser. So you can see in my website folder, there's index.html that we just made. It's the one we're editing over here. I'm going to double click that and open it up. And there it is in all its beauty. It's very minimal at this point, but it's not very cluttered. Pretty clean design. Obviously, we need to put some stuff in here. First of all, though, I did want to point out, notice that in the tab in my browser, which is Chrome, it says my website. Well, where did that come from? Well, that came from right here. So if I change this to my website, getting too excited there, and then I Command Tab, again, keyboard, back to my Google Chrome, and then Command R, refresh. Look, my website now has 3 exclamation points, which is a bit exuberant. Let's change that. So we're going to practice our switching between the browser and the code editor here. And I'm going to do that by hitting Command Tab again, Command Tab, Visual Studio Code. And then I'm going to change the code, Command S, save the file, and then Command Tab again, back to the browser, and then Command R to refresh. And you'll notice that I took away those exclamation points there. We're going to be doing that a lot. So let's practice while we can. Command Tab, edit, edit, save, Command Tab, Command R. That pattern over and over again while we're updating our website. All right, so let's make this website more exciting. We need to put some stuff on the screen that people can actually see. And there's a convenient tag for that called body. So I'm going to type in opening body tag and then closing body tag. And then inside of body is stuff that is visible on the screen. It's like the embodiment of our web page. You can think of it that way. And so let's do a heading tag, which is H1. And I'll say, welcome to my website, or whatever you want to type there. And then I Command S, Command Tab, Command R. Ooh, there's something. We got welcome to our website in a big, bold, and serif typeface. All right, so let's say we want to add something else to this website. Let's Command Tab back to our editor. I'm going to do another tag called P, which stands for paragraph, and I'll say, I hope you enjoy browsing around. And then close that P tag off. Remember, most tags have an opening tag, and then there's something inside of it, maybe even other tags, and then we have a closing tag. So P tag is no exception. Let's save it, Command S, Command Tab, Command R, boom, there's my paragraph tag. So looking a little bit better. Obviously, we are not concerned about style at this point. But how would I get this guy online? How would I upload this to the internet? Well, I'm going to recommend that we use a service called Netlify. So if you go to netlify.com, it's pronounced like simplify, but just with the word net. And then you go to sign up here. And then what you'll want to do is sign up via email. So if you go to email, type in your email address here, type in the password you want to log in to, make sure that you remember what that password is. This will send you an email link that then will let you activate your account. And once you are in, I've already got an account, so I'm just going to go ahead and log into mine. Once you are in, you'll see a screen that looks like this. Yours won't have any websites on it yet. I already had a website demo on here before. But yours will just have a blank screen, but you will have this drag and drop arrow or area here below. So this is what you want to look for. And the cool thing about Netlify is I can just drag my whole folder. So if I go to my desktop here and then I see my website, the folder we just created. I can drag that whole thing in here, and boom, I just got a new website. And so if I click on the link it generated for me here, Cranky Leave It, just does a random name, I can see, there it is. That's the same website we were just working on my computer. See, this is the one on my computer. You can see users, WNMark desktop. This is the one that's actually online, and I could share this link all over the internet, spread it far and wide, and it will work for anyone with the link. So pretty cool. We just published our code online, and that was really fast. So how would we update this though? First of all, we may want to change the name of this. Cranky Leave It doesn't really mean much to most people. Let's change the site name. And my cool website demo. I'll just name it that. You can name it whatever you want. And as long as it's a unique name, then you'll get that URL. And so now you can see the URL has updated. My cool website Netlify app. And that's a little bit easier to remember than the random one that it generated for me. So how would I update this website? Let's say we wanted to change the fonts on our website to not all be that weird serif. Again, we're not too concerned about style here at this point. We're just worrying about structure, practicing opening and closing tabs, practicing creating files, practicing all those fancy keyboard controls. But I am going to create a CSS file here. So let's call this styles.css. And again, it's not really important what the name is here. You could call this like mystyles.css, whatever you want. I generally recommend lowercase and no spaces for names. But the important part is this extension. This is saying this is a CSS file, and it tells your computer that that's what it is. And that is important for the computer to know. So anything.css, and we're going to write a CSS rule in here. So this is not HTML. It does not have tags. It has a different syntax, which is a structure of the language. And I'm going to make a rule here. So this is called a rule. And this rule is for the tag HTML. So anything inside of HTML will get any of the style rules I put within these curly brackets. And again, don't worry about understanding all of this up front. The more we repeat this, the more we practice, the more we learn about these things, the more this stuff will click. So for now, I'm going to just type in font family, and notice my code editor is trying to help me out. Font family sans serif, and we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so I do need to save that. And if I go back to my browser here, Command Tab, Command R, nothing happens. It did not change to a sans serif. And the reason is because I did create this file, but I didn't actually tell my page to use that file as its style sheet rules. So to do that, we need another fancy tag. And notice I'm putting this in the head section. I'm going to link to that style sheet. So the name of the tag is link, and I'm going to use a little cheat code here, link, and then tab. So I'm going to do that again. Type in the word link, which is the tag name, and then hit tab, and my code editor did the rest for me. I didn't have to write this rel equals style sheet, which is an attribute. We haven't really talked about that yet. We will later. And then this is where I need to put the name of the file, the CSS file that I'm linking to. So in our case, that's styles.css. So if I had named this mystyles.css, then I wouldn't put styles.css, I'd put mystyles.css. The important thing is that the name matches your styles file. All right, so I'm going to save that, Command S, Command Tab back to the browser, Command R, and no, I'm looking at the wrong URL. Notice I'm looking at the one that's online. This is an easy thing to do. I'm not updating that here on my local file. I'm only updating the one on my computer right now, which is important. This is the tab that has the one on my computer open. Now I can Command R, and yeah, nice sans serif there. And let's say we want everything centered too. Now this is not the proper way to do this, but for now, this will work. Text align center. Let's center all that stuff. There we go. Thank you, sir. We have it centered. Let's say we want our heading tag, H1, remember? If we look at that tag name, H1, we want to make a rule for that. Let's make the color for that. Let's just go with purple. Boom, nice purple header. Okay, so cool. I've got this updated on my local computer, just in my desktop. How do I get this back on my website online? So what we can do there is if you go to your site, it'll generate like a new page for you, and there's tons of settings in here. Don't worry about that stuff right now. We don't need any of it. Let's just go to deploys, and then again, you've got the same drag area. This is the guy you need to look for, and I'm going to drag my folder, the whole thing, back into there again. Whoops, I missed it. Let's try again. And boom, published. Once you see that published flag, Then I can go back over to where it is, mycoolwebsitedemo.netlify.com, Command R, and boom, now it matches the one that I have on my computer. Pretty cool. So the general workflow is make whatever changes you need to your code or your styles. Once you're done with that and you're ready to put it online, drag your folder into Netlify under the deploys section. So go to deploys and then just drag your folder into there, and any changes you made will be automatically published to your website. So that's it. It's not the best site in the world, but it is our site and we are proud of it. This is a good step one for you. And again, it doesn't matter if you understand everything that's happening. The more we repeat this process, the more it'll click, the more it'll make sense. And this is a great way to start.